my creative peeps, it's Craftin Just Because with Chris Cowan, and today we're working on another 12 Days of Christmas. And today we're going to create this oversized milk carton box, and I decided to use this fun Banner Year stamp set because I thought it worked perfectly to show you how to do your own background paper. And so what I did is I just took Whisper White cardstock, I took my Memento ink, my Real Red ink, and some shaded spruce ink, which matches the cardstock color. And I just started stamping the Holly and the Merry Christmas, or sorry, the Be Merry, all over the paper randomly, and then cut it up to make this fun box. And all you have to do to unwrap this is untie the bow, and then you could put stuff in it. So it's perfect for candies, snacks. I always like to gift socks and stuff for Christmas, so I roll them up and put them in there, is what I'm going to use that for. So we're going to go ahead and get started. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bring in your paper trimmer. And by the way, this takes a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper, but we're going to cut it down to 8.25. Let me make sure that I did that on this one. Yep, I already did it. So you're cutting off 1/4 inch. And what we're going to do is on the 11-inch side, we are going to score it at 2 inches. And then at 8.25 inches. And then this sounds really weird, but you're going to flip it over and you're going to score it at 10 inches. And the reason being is because that top part of the flap is going to fold opposite. Okay. Then on the 8.25 inch side, you're just going to score it every 2 inches. So 2, 4, 6, and 8. So let's go 2, 4, 6, and 8. Now we're not quite done yet. What we want to do is we're going to score to the first line at 1 and 5. So I'm going to put it back in my paper trimmer at 1, and I'm going to just score to that first score line at 1 and then 5 inches, just like that. Oh, I guess I could come down a little bit more on that 5. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to move my paper trimmer. I'm going to then bring in my ruler and bone folder, and on those partial score marks, we're going to take it and go diagonally to the intersecting score line on both sides to make a triangle in those two boxes. So I'm going to go just like this. I know it's hard to see the score lines on there because it's a darker paper. So I'm kind of just moving it up so I can make sure I got it nice and even. Okay. So now that part's done. Now we're going to burnish all the score lines. So we're going to go ahead and burnish all of our score lines. Easy project to make. You can make it with any colors. Don't have to do it just for Christmas. You could use any stamp set. That's what's so fun about this, making these 12 weeks of Christmas. You could totally take the idea and totally change it to what you need it to work for. Okay, so now at this top one, remember we scored opposite, so we're just going to fold it down towards us. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is On the bottom right, we're going to cut off this tiny little rectangle and we're going to tab it. And we're going to do the same thing here up at the top. I'm trying to debate where I want to. Just like that. So we just took the first little box off and then the bottom. Then on the bottom, on the rest of them, you're going to cut up to the first score line. And then what you're going to do is on those triangular boxes, I kind of just like to push my finger on it to get it started so that when we're in that position, it knows which way to go. Okay, now we're going to set that aside for a moment. Now you're going to bring in Whisper White cardstock and stamp, you know, a sheet that will accommodate all of these pieces. So the pieces are cut at 1 3/4 by 6. And as you can see, I have 2 here that need to be stamped because these were 2 that were left over from my sample box. So I'm going to put them together and I'm going to show you how I did this. And we're going to stamp off of our project. So actually, I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper. Okay. So there's our scrap paper. And I'm going to come in with my block. And I'm first going to start with the Be Merry because that's our biggest stamp image. And I like to make sure that I have plenty of room for it when I'm doing it. And I'm going to make sure that I stamp off on the edges. So what I was taught to do when you're doing this is you want to work in a triangular pattern. Okay. So see, there's my triangle. There's a triangle. There's a triangle. And then I'm going to kind of just fill in where I think we need some extra room. Kind of like that. Okay, so now we're done with our black. Normally this is easier when it's one whole piece, but because I already had 2 of the pieces cut, I just kind of wanted to show you my process of how I do designer series paper. And you could also mask this down so that it didn't move. I just was showing you really quick how to do it. Next, I'm coming in with my shaded spruce to do my holly leaves. Okay, and then we're going to switch to the real red. And then do the holly berries. And then we'll also do our sentiment here at the top so that all of our stamping is done at one time. Okay, so now I'm going to just take my holly berries I'm going to add another holly leaf right there because it's kind of a big open space. And then I think we're done with this. But that's how you would make your designer series paper. So as you saw, I went from my smallest stamp to my biggest stamp and just worked it in there. And I could have done probably a better job, you know, of doing it, but, you know, do it to where you feel most comfortable. Okay, so now let's do our sentiment. I'm going to get those two pieces out of the way, and I'm going to bring in a piece of cardstock that is a 1/2 inch, and then it's at however length you want it because we're going to cut it down. I probably will cut it down to about a 1/2 inch by 3. Let me get a bigger stamp here, and I need Christmas wishes. Is. Oh man, it got crooked. Let's see if I could do it on the other side. Ah. Bummer. You know what? I'm going to try it one more time. We'll cut it down. Usually I'm very successful at it. There we go. I needed to be more over it. Sorry about that, you guys. Then you're going to want to bring in your banner punch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first trim the end that's closest to, actually I need to trim this because it was a bigger piece. So let's do that first. I'm going to need to, I'm actually going to just go ahead and trim it down. And then there we go. I think I might trim a tiny bit off the bottom. There. Now it'll be perfect for what I need it for. Okay, so we're going to be using this banner side down, and I'm going to stick it in to my paper trimmer, and I like to flip mine over to see where it's cutting. So I'm going to trim it down right there, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. Then I have a piece of black cardstock that is 7/8 by 3 1/8, and we're going to put it into the paper trimmer as well. And this one, you don't have to worry about it moving so much. The other one moved a lot because it was kind of smaller than that little guide is. But as long as you're lining it up on the back, you're fine. Okay, so now I'm going to take a Stampin' Dimensional. This looks a lot bigger. You know what? I might need to cut this down. Yeah, we need to cut it down. Let's do that one more time. I didn't even notice how big that was. That's better. Okay, so we're going to take our Stampin' Dimensional and put it on the back of that Whisper White tag. And I just have some remnants here, so I'm just going to put one big one right on down in the middle. And then center that on it down. And then I'm gonna put one on each end because we want our ribbon to fit through that opening so that it doesn't go anywhere when we untie it for our box. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside for a moment. I'm gonna get out my glue and I'm going to glue our panels down onto our shaded spruce cardstock. Sorry if you guys just heard a little bit of a noise. My air conditioner just popped on. Okay. So next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this over and add adhesive to that tiny little tab. And I'm gonna flip this over onto that piece. And what I'm gonna do, because especially since it's so thin, I'm gonna run my bone folder down it a couple times to make sure it's nice and adhered together. Okay, so this is the back. So what I like to put the front towards me and then we'll work backwards. So I'm gonna put the back one in first. Then I put in my right side. Then I put my left side down. And then I put my front one down. That way this front has a nice crisp edges. And then I'm gonna flip that over. And I think I'm gonna need to stick my ruler in it because that's what I have that's long enough, just to make sure that that's nice and down. Okay. Next, you're gonna punch in your sides. See how easy that went together? So then what I did is, you could staple this once you have something in it if you want, if that makes it more secure for you. What I just did is I'm gonna put a clip there for just a moment so I can get my ribbon around it. And I'm using the sheer red organdy ribbon. And I'm not going to tie a knot just yet because I don't have it full. But if I had it full, I would tie a knot just so that it stays together. And then you play with your ribbon until you like where it's at. Trim off the ends. And then you're going to add your sentiment right there in the center. And actually I put my dimensionals too far apart. Dang it. I need them over a little bit. I'm gonna have to start over. They're too far over and they overlap. Okay, let's try that again. Try it again. If all else fails, I'm just gonna put them on my box this time. Okay. So just like that. So there is your project, you guys. Let me get that out of the way so you guys can see it. So I appreciate you guys joining me today. If you liked watching me create this video, please push the subscribe button and the bell button, and you'll be notified of any future videos that I make. Until next time, you guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.